Chapter 19, Declaration. McQuinn Storm Aaron. Taran Aragor was early, and he was already drinking coffee when I entered the war room. Paterno was there as well, seated beside him. The two were engaged in a conversation. "Is there a need to be so early?" I said. Paterno turned around and was about to stand up, but I motioned for them to remain seated. "I came here as soon as I got the news," Paterno started. Then he handed me the note that he had received. The note said, Marcus Asan of Lundu, Benno Tibol of Amer, and Kapi Ribeir of Bulaknan successfully took over Nivedon. I sat down and looked at Paterno. "Were there any survivors?" Paterno shook his head. "Where they are now, no Nivens or rebels could have survived, but the clan has yet to be annihilated. More than 3/4 of them were able to escape." "And you call this a success?" I bellowed. "Were my instructions not clear enough? Kill all of them. As long as one of them survives, there's a possibility for Micromanya's prophecy to come true." "What success are you talking about?" "Our men came from the north, east, and west. They came in full force and did not expect that they would actually be able to escape from the south," Paterno said, now almost cowering. I was starting to get a headache from the conversation and was unsure if it was likely because of the rage that burned inside my head. "You had them cornered and surrounded by mountains. Escape would have been difficult if another troop came from the south. Why didn't any of you think of that?" My voice thundered inside the room. I slumped on my seat, thinking hard about the repercussions of this. If they had escaped, it would be more difficult to track them now. How could I know if I had eradicated the entire clan already? "The generals control Nivedon now. This is an achievement, Your Grace," Taran said, with some confidence left in his voice. "I commend the generals for executing their plan, except that the execution wasn't perfect. Now, Taran, if you were in my position, what would your next instruction be?" I asked, mocking the general seated in front of me. "I would order the generals to search for the Niven survivors, Your Grace," Taran said. I nodded. "Your words are correct," I said. "But this time, see to it that there is no more room for error. Or else." And unexpectedly, thunder raged inside the war room.
Pyper, San Diego. While we journeyed, it was impossible for me to think straight because I kept worrying about Mother. What if she did not survive? What if she wasn't one of those who were able to escape? What if she was dead? Chills run up and down my spine again. It was good that Kino was with me because he seemed to understand, and how could he not? For a moon turn, he thought that his mother was dead. He kept glancing at me, checking to see if I was all right. I chastised him earlier, and he looked embarrassed for behaving like that, especially when I pointed out to him that I have gotten stronger since we separated. Mayo yelled that I was crying, which made me weak, so I had to tell him that crying was not an indication of weakness. Crying is just a manifestation of fear and loneliness and many other emotions. Never weakness. It has been days since we started traveling, and I could not wait to reach Sinista. "Did you see them?" I asked for like the 100th time already. Kino shook his head. "There are traces. I think I can sense Bombay, but I couldn't really be sure. It's hard to sniff them because I think they've reached Sinista already. When I try to use sniffling, I can smell the foulness of the place. I can't use the power for longer than a few seconds because it really stinks, Pyper. If sense could kill, then that one could murder you," he said. "I'm sorry, Pyper. I wish I could tell you more," he added. "It's all right. It's not your fault," I said. "This is it," Mayo shouted. I can feel the uneasiness creeping on my skin. I chilled and saw that the others were also acting up. "We're here," Dogen said. "I suppose we can find them easily if a lot of them survived." "Wait a minute. I sense some movements," I said. And then, out of thin air, Bombay's image started to form. "Pyper!" he shouted. "It's so good to see you." "Are they alive?" Pyper asked. "Is my mother alive?" "They're safe. Come, I will take all of you to them." "Who didn't make it?" I asked before we could even move. I held my breath, waiting for Bombay's response. The others must have, too, because I heard theirs as well. Of those we left behind, only Master Jor's comrades were able to rejoin us here. The chief hunter didn't make it as well as the other Nivens who stayed with him. There were around 100 of them. And then, of course, the nameless were all left behind too, Bombay shared in all seriousness. I felt sad upon hearing that. I wished that I could talk to Kogi because I believe that he is from Arden's family, his brother. It would have been nice to share Arden's adventures with Kogi. A while later, we reached the Niven camps. I looked for Mother first, and when I found her, I enveloped her in such a tight hug. It was a good day to be reunited with everyone, and we got the perfect timing too because, according to my mother, there would be a town meeting tonight. Many decisions were to be made, and many things were to be discussed. But before all of that, Mother asked us to get some rest first. She also mentioned that staying in Sinista was definitely not an option because already, the Nivens were feeling some changes in their behavior. It would do no good to anyone if this place corrupted us.
Elder Mayandilo. It was night time in Sinista, and although I have spent several nights in this place already, I still feel uneasy when I retire for the day, as though there are hidden eyes that are staring at me. But matters to discuss today are important and cannot be pushed back any longer. Everybody was gathered at the makeshift town hall, and the discussion was about to start. I turned to look at Laren, who nodded at me. Romeo was staring grimly at the surroundings. He kept looking left and right as though he was expecting some strange creatures to suddenly burst forth and devour us. It was Laren who spoke first. Tonight, we honor those who have given up their lives so that our clan can survive. The brave ones lie in Nivedon, and there's no one else to honor them there, so we will do it here. We will offer their souls to the ancestors and pray to the gods so that they will continue their journey dancing the moon steps. She paused as though waiting for a reaction, but nobody spoke. The chief hunter fell together with his men, and that leaves us with no leader. One that we sorely need right now, Laren continued. It is time for us to nominate a new chief hunter to lead us in the days to come. I looked around, waiting. To my surprise, it was Romeo who spoke. There is no one better to lead us but you, Mistress Laren San Diego. You may not have been trained for it, but you have always been with Andoni San Diego. And when he was gone, you were always with Salvatore Durismo, he said. Laren looked surprised. It pleases me that you recognize me enough to nominate me to lead the clan, but I am not a fighter. I am no commander in the battlefield. I will command our army, Romeo said. Or whatever fighters we have here. But you will have to lead us. The Nivens are broken now, they have lost hope after being repeatedly subject to the Emperor's attacks. They need someone who will help everyone heal. Someone who is strong to be the chief hunter but also soft enough to understand what they are feeling. That someone is you, Mistress Laren. Romeo looked around at the Nivens gathered around him and raised his right arm. All in favor? He yelled. Not surprisingly, though, they all yelled in agreement. I was smiling as I caught her eye. And then we all fell silent to listen to what the new chief hunter had to say. Thank you, my brothers and sisters. I am honored by your confidence in me. And now to pressing matters. Months ago, when General Ion Noto attacked us, we decided to fight against the Emperor. And then, out of self-preservation, because we weren't sure if it was the right decision, we decided to go back to that place we all called home, Nivedon. But you saw what happened. If we do not fight, we will not find peace anywhere. The time that Andoni feared has come, the time that the Emperor learns about our existence. Now that he knows, he will stop at nothing until he annihilates our entire clan. So I tell you now, we will fight. We will go to the Kanelan Palace and fight. It will be our last battle. There's no sense in hiding any longer. We have to declare ourselves as citizens of Akea once more, she said. No Niven or rebel with us that day did not cheer upon hearing Laren. Battle plans were to be made, and the fight against the Emperor will soon be waged. Laren San Diego, the first woman chief hunter, made me proud. It was a momentous event for us. She agreed to lead us, and everyone was beaming. When the noise died down, Laren looked at me, and her eyes became moist. I knew why. At this moment, she wanted me to talk about her husband and her uncle. We honor Salvatore and his men. All of those who served the Nivens and fought for the right to be considered citizens again are worthy of your praise, I started. But there is another man that needs to be honored tonight. My heart started to pound. I did not know that this burden would fall upon me, to tell the Nivens what happened to Andoni San Diego. But Laren could not speak about her husband without breaking down, and so I had volunteered to do it. Andoni San Diego is gone, I began. Gasps filled the air. I saw Pyper's countenance change, her smile was gone, and she hugged her mother tightly, burying her face against her mother's bosom. I had to look away from her before I could continue. The last time you saw your former chief hunter was when we set out to rescue the body of a young Niven who died in the Akene wine festival, and there, he was hurt during battle. A general wounded him, and he was dying as we journeyed back to Nivedon. It was not our intention to make you worry. He did not want you to lose hope should you learn that you have lost your leader, and so he asked that his death be concealed from everyone. He knew that he wouldn't survive the day, so he asked me to end it for him. I paused. I didn't want to, but your former chief hunter was an honorable man, and I wanted to offer him the respect he deserves even in death. It would bring great dishonor to the clan if the chief hunter died in the hands of a foreigner. When he requested that I swing the sword that took him back to your ancestors, I hesitated at first because how could I kill such a man? I had to stop talking because I was finding it too hard to speak anymore. My voice had gone throaty. And then, I looked down at my hand and saw that it was wet where a teardrop had fallen. I didn't know that I was crying. And so I struck him, I said. Forgive me. But please, spend a moment to honor him. I said nothing after that. The hall was filled with more grief. I could not stand the loneliness that suddenly engulfed each Niven. I thought I was alone when I heard a voice speak. It was Mayo's father, wasn't it? I turned to see Pyper. Her face was streaked with tears, and her eyes were narrowed at me. It was him, wasn't it? That's why you didn't want me to rescue Mayo. That's why you kept on telling me to forget about my friend. It's because you knew that his father was the one who killed my father. She yelled, and then she slumped down on the ground, sobbing. How could you not tell me that my father was dead? I had no words for Pyper. I was crushed seeing her like this, but it was the right time to tell everyone. We must honor the dead, all of them who had served us. And then we must move on. I crouched down beside Pyper and hugged the child tightly.
Lamare Amark. I could sense Laren's loss. It was very much akin to what I probably felt when I lost Timbuk Lassus. She may not remember me, but that did not stop me from being a friend to her. We were that and more. We were best friends. I have no words to offer you, I said. She was sitting beside Amaya, and when I moved closer to her, Amaya stood up and left us, perhaps sensing that we needed some time alone. Laren exhaled. Her eyes were moist, and I could see that she was trying so hard not to cry. I had known, she said. Elder Mayan brought back to me my husband's head. My eyes rounded. How horrible must that have been for her? I think that I've gotten stronger over these last few days, but the pain lingers. I couldn't shake it off so easily, she said. I reached out to hold her hand and just sat silently beside her. I knew there were no words that would take away her loneliness. Sometimes, just knowing that there was someone beside you helped to get over the loss. This feels surreal, Laren said, breaking the silence. You feel surreal. She was staring at me now. It's as though I know you. It's as though we've been friends before, and yet, I couldn't place you. I remember someone who used to spend time with Timbuk Lassus, but I couldn't be certain. I feel that we must have been friends. I wish she would remember me. But if not, we still have each other. I smiled at her. We can be friends now, I said.